workers have become a familiar term. When we hear these words, we usually think about images of doctors and nurses in hazmat suits, soldiers, and even police officers. Our frontline workers in the health field are more than doctors and nurses in hazmat suits. They are our unsung heroes, the ones who do great deeds but receive little or no recognition for them. Although they may not be looking for that recognition, we owe it to them to recognize and celebrate them. In less than 10 years, Liberia has gone through two major health crises. First Ebola in 2014 and now the coronavirus. Despite the risk involved, health workers like Dr. Yatta shows up every day with a smile and the passion to help. Dr. Wapoe is a Liberian medical doctor serving as the incident commander of the Montserrat County Health Team of Liberia's Incident Management System under the Executive Committee on Coronavirus. Dr. Wapoe is trained to perform OBGYN surgeries and has worked in that field for over 10 years. When she's not dealing with coronavirus or Ebola, she is running the J&J Medical Health Center as their co-CEO. Just so you understand the situation, Liberia has a population of 4.5 million. The country is divided into 15 counties. Montserrat County is the largest in terms of population. Half of the population resides in Montserrat County. It's also home to our capital city, Monrovia. The World Health Organization recommends that there should be one doctor to every 1,000 patients for adequate healthcare services. Yet, according to a 2016 report by the Liberia Medical and Dental Council, the country has just 298 medical doctors to care for its 4.5 million population. That's one doctor for every 15,000 patients. Our healthcare workers are truly our unsung heroes. It was a pleasure to hear Dr. Wapoe share her story with us, a true unsung hero. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Salamartu and Friends. All right. Good. So Dr. Wapoe, thank you so much for joining the program Salamartu and Friends. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you are super, super busy. You know, I've had the opportunity to work with the response. So I personally know the hard work, the dedication, the passion I've seen in the short time that I've known you. So I know to take this time out and have a chat, we appreciate it. Appreciate it. So thank you so very much. I love your background.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Salamartu. I appreciate it.
So I hope when this is done, this interview is done, people watch, they can be cheering for Dr. Wapoe, Dr. Wapoe. This is our little thing we say when we see Dr. Wapoe, we cheer for her. So I was just kind of going to you just telling us a little bit about your background, maybe your professional background, and also some personal background.
Okay, thank you, Salamartu. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity. So you already know my name. Like she said, my name is Yatta Sackie Wapoe. I go by Dr. Wapoe. And professionally, I'm a medical doctor. Or better still, I would like to see myself as a public health practitioner. I've been a doctor for the past 10 years now. And I have worked as a doctor, but mainly practicing as an OBGYN doctor for 10 years before I came to the Montserrat County Health Team, wherein I have been the county health officer for the last 5 years. So I do my thing in the county and still go back because I don't want to lose my skills. And over the last 5 years in my role as the county health officer, I've had both pandemic and epidemic exposure. And most importantly, it has enabled me to work with different people from different walks of life, both local partners, international partners. And it has strengthened my overall ability to improve my coordination skills with people. Also, in my role as a county health officer, outside of the entire response and emergency thing, I have a key responsibility to manage the healthcare delivery services of the largest, I would say the most populous county in Liberia, Salamartu County.
Yeah.
We have an estimated population of 1.5 million people, and that is huge. And you know the dynamics of Salamartu County. You have a mixed match of people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
You have the educated people, you have the overly educated, you have the people in the middle, and you have the people that are not so educated. So you have all kinds of people that you have to deal with over a given period. So basically, that's about me in a nutshell.
But you know, it's funny, even outside of the epidemic or the crisis, both Ebola and Corona, it just seemed like you honestly have a challenge on your hand.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are not familiar with the setup of Liberia, Montserrat County, the country itself is divided into 15 counties. And Montserrat County is the largest county. It's where the capital city sits, but it's also where half of the population resides. So to be in charge of pretty much half of the country, you know, that's a huge responsibility. And I would like to add, as you can see, she's a female. You know, I cheer for women, although we find a lot of women in that field, Liberian, yeah. So even though we find a lot of women in the medical field, but I think the perception is we find most women in maybe as nurses per se, and in those specialized fields we don't usually see women. But nevertheless, you know, we have a medical doctor here, Dr. Wapoe, and like you stated, your experience with Ebola and now Corona. In less than 10 years, we've experienced two major crises, Liberia. So, yeah, and you are one of our unsung heroes that people honestly should know that took us from there here. So, in saying that, what attracted you to the medical field? Why did you choose to go into the medical field?
So I think all my life, pretty much, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I was at a very tender age, maybe I would say 5 or 6. And I remember my maternal grandmother died. She died of a heart attack. And my mother was so sad. She was sad for weeks and weeks. And then I remember telling her that, Mama, I will be a medical doctor. And I will try to save you, to save all your family members so that you are not this sad. And after that, I think my entire mindset, all my whole life, I just had this mindset that I will be a medical doctor. In fact, initially I wanted to be a heart surgeon. And then I told her I want to be a heart surgeon, and then we will go out and she asked me, or her friends will ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would say, I want to be a heart surgeon. And then here I am today, I'm a medical doctor. Yes. So that's how it all started. Yes.
And also you mentioned that, you know, you've really been at the front line for both Ebola and now Corona.
Yeah.
Those two, you know, very different diseases, I would say, but nevertheless, we've seen that the impact is pretty much the same. What would you say has been your experience seeing both of them? Has there been major differences, or is just pretty much we going through what we went through in 2014?
So my experiences during the Ebola crisis and this coronavirus crisis is almost similar but different in a way. I would say that the Ebola virus epidemic, it helped me to develop me to where I am today. So it helped me to grow and mature in a way because I was initially at the facility level. I was a medical doctor seeing patients every day. And then by 2015, when we had the second wave in Tuporo area, I had a change of assignment. And then I was brought from the facility to come and manage Montserrat County. I've had no experience in emergency management. In fact, I remember when I took over November 1st, 2015, after 5 days, we had another wave of Ebola virus outbreak. I was totally confused. I didn't know where to start from. And I learned a whole lot from the technical partners that were there. So I watched people, I watched the national incident management, and I had to learn every day. So it was the 3 months that we had the second wave was a whole learning period for me. Imagine becoming a county health officer, learning how to manage a county, learning how to manage a response. So it was really crazy. And we were afraid during the EVD period. From the initial period, I was at the facility level. We were all afraid. We all ran. That was sad. So we didn't know exactly what to do because Ebola had not affected West Africa. It was only, in other parts of Africa, East Africa specifically, we had not had the experience. Unfortunately, it caught us with our pants down. So we were all afraid. We didn't want to see people. We had to turn pregnant women down. We had to turn children down. Anybody that had fever or you mimic any sound or sounds or symptom of Ebola, we will run. And the lessons that we learned from there help us to be better persons today because we realized that the people were not trained during the EVD period. People had no idea what Ebola was. So we changed the whole paradigm around. This time around, we trained our people. We decided to train our nurses and doctors ahead of the pandemic entering Liberia. So during our preparedness phase in early February and late January, we started to train people, we started to prepare, and then people became more confident. So I'm not as afraid now as I was during the EVD period. Now I have gained more confidence. I'm able to actually lead my team without fear. I'm able to lead my team with more confidence. I'm able to say, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to be safe while you are serving. And I'm able to engage my partners more realistically than I did in 2015. So I've grown over the period.
And something that I've noticed working with the national response coordinator, or the entire coordination, I should say, is that we see a lot of, again, the male doctors. So when we see one or two, the female, like, yay. Now, being one of the few unsung heroes within that space, has it really been challenging, especially during this time? Or just as a woman per se within the field where it's pretty much dominated by male?
So I would say I have had all kinds of different experiences. The fact that I'm a woman, I have to fight all my life.
Amen.
So yes, I have to fight all my life. I have to fight for a seat at the table. I have to prove myself. I have to work overtime. I have to be 2 times better than my male colleagues because if I have no room for mistakes.
Yeah.
If I make mistakes, I get grilled. If a male colleague make mistakes, he gets pat on the back and say, okay, maybe he was busy. But for females, there's no room for mistakes our entire life. And oftentimes, our society, maybe it's a societal thing, but most of the times in Africa or Liberia specifically, people see us as being women. Maybe our place should be at home, where we should go home and cook for our men or take care of the children and manage the home. So sometimes they get uncomfortable when they see a strong African woman standing up to them in a space doing better than they are doing. So they get comfortable, they get uncomfortable with you being in that space. So they throw all kinds of daggers at you. Sometimes they stab you in your back. So it's terrible, even as a medical student or as an intern. For example, if I had a patient to click, I would have to know that patient. So even if you wake me up and they say, oh, Dr. Salamartu is coming to make rounds, and you wake me up 2 a.m. in the morning, I should know my patient. I should know every little thing about my patient. That's how stressful it is being a medical doctor or female medical doctor in Liberia specifically. So it's a for me, it's a, it's what the word I want to use? It's a fighting thing. It's like every day you have to fight, but you have to be perfect at your game. You have to be ahead of your male colleagues. You have to be ahead of your bosses. You have to do everything to, it's like your whole life you running to ensure that people see you as who you are. People see you as equals. People see you that, yes, even though she's a female, but she really knows what she's doing and she's on top of it. So that has been my life for the last 10 years. I have to do everything 2 times better than all of my male colleagues. I have to think for my bosses. I have to always impress everyone around me.
Yeah, a lot of women get really tough. I know my mom used to always say, "You think you have it bad, but not only are you a woman, but you're also, African woman. So you have to fight even more." But I will say what has been some of the positive things that I've seen for this response regarding the people who are the frontliners like yourself. I'm seeing a lot of Africans around the table. We
Yeah.
see more women around the table. We're seeing some. I mean, the entire IMS is headed by a
Mm.
female. The
Yeah.
national response is headed by a female. So we're seeing a lot, and of course the largest county health team is headed by a female. So we're seeing,
Yeah.
women participation at the table. But I do understand what you mean, where you literally have to fight to sit at the table, to have a voice. And when you're sitting at the table, sometimes you finding yourself fighting to even get recognized by your colleagues who are sitting
Yeah.
next to you,
Exactly.
because they feel like they know more. Um, Now we do, we have a very youthful population, a lot of young girls. When they think about the medical field, they're usually thinking about the nurses. And reading a statistic by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, they said that yeah, you find a lot of female going into the health field as nurses, but the specialized skills, as you start to go up that trend, a lot of you start to see a lot of decrease in female participation when it comes to those specialized skills. So of course, when we find unsung heroes like yourself, it is exciting for us to see that yeah, we have women who stuck it out there, who didn't become one of those statistics. What would you say to a young Liberian girl who is lucky to go into the field, but perhaps think that, okay, the only place that I can stop is as a nurse? What would you say to her?
So my advice to young Liberian women or young Liberian girls that want to be a doctor is simple. First, I always tell them, know yourself, know what you want. Don't allow anyone to stop you and say, oh, you're a female, you can't be a doctor. You should be resilient, you should persevere. Don't settle for anything. You don't have to quit, you don't have to compromise your body. Because sometimes some people we are women, right? So you realize that even as a professional, sometimes people hate at you. Some men make passes and all that. Don't allow your professors or anyone in that learning space to put you down because you are a female. The most important thing is to believe in yourself. Once you believe in yourself, you can be whoever or whatever you want to be. So I always tell them that. And I sometimes look at my own life because I don't come from a family of doctors. None of my parents were doctors. In fact, um, my mother my mother is a high school graduate. She only stopped in high school. My father did not go far in university. I think he stopped first year or second year. And then during those days, once you graduate from high school and you can type or do something, you get easily employed, especially if you start to have children soon. So I didn't come from a family of doctors. I'm the first doctor in my family, even though some distant relative is a senior colleague. But I had to tell myself that you can be a doctor. I had to literally speak to myself every day. There were times I, I didn't even have food to eat on the dormitory, but I had to keep going. We would study, and then at the evening, during the evening hours, we'll go on a road by, maybe roasted cassava or kala, just to keep ourselves going. And we kept pressing on. We were resilient until today. I'm a doctor. And I didn't stop there. I continued to push myself and tell them that I will be one of the best medical doctors in Liberia. I will enter any space that is available for doctors in Liberia, regardless of even if it's only males. In fact, I was one of the only female county health officer for a long time, until most recently we started having other females come on board. So you have to believe in yourself. That is most important.
And I really hope, we start to show. I know most of you, when your doctor's saying you're working, so you don't have time to be doing the public relation, the PR. So I really hope everybody who's watching, when we're praising doctors or we're trying to advocate for doctors, that we're using this opportunity to showcase people like you, so the young girls can see that, hey, look, I'm a nurse, but I can do more. Look at Dr. Wapoe. She looks just like me. She's from where I'm from, and you went to school here. Yeah, so
Yeah.
all of that, let them understand that, like you said, perseverance, being resilient here. Let them understand what those words mean. Let them understand what some of the sacrifices they might have to make, and not necessarily just for them, but for the next generation who will come after them and look at. And as we're talking about next generation, who are some, or who were, or are some of your mentors? Who are some of those people that you look up to?
So for me, I always look for excellence in when I was a medical student. So one of the first person that I look up to and I have so much respect for was is still Senator Dr. Peter Escomo. He pushed me to the limits. I almost dropped out of medical school. And and he will come to class every day and say, Yatta, Sackie, stand up here. Tell me everything we did yesterday. And it's like I had to push myself every day to read his entire notes just so I can impress him. And I will go and recite to him every day. When I miss one line, I'll be through out of his class. And he pushed me, but he was always willing to listen. He was willing to guide me. He was one of those that were the first to take me in an operating theater when I was a second year medical student. At the first year, the end of first year, we went on a surgical trip, and he said, who's going to volunteer? And everybody was down. He said, you, Yatta Wapoe, Yatta Sackie, you following me? And then we went. So besides Peter Como, other people touched my lives, like the late Dr. Samuel Brisbane. He taught me that I had to be ahead of my professors. So I was rotating in the internal medicine ward, and everyone was afraid of internal medicine. And we didn't, because on internal medicine, you see a lot of chronically ill patients. You see people with contagious or very infectious diseases, but we were all afraid. And then he kept pushing and he kept pushing. He and the late Dr. Ibrahim Bobo, they mentored me a whole lot. And I realized that before, every morning when they enter the ward, they will run through the entire ward. They will know all of the patients. So you're not going to lie to Dr. Bobo and say, when he asks you, did you see John Brown? What's the issue with John Brown? And he said, yeah, John Brown, all right, he will tell you that's a lie. I saw John Brown. John Brown has a temperature of this. John Brown was vomiting. John Brown was this. So they all pushed me to be better people, better person, sorry. And then most recently, during my internship, I also encountered Dr. Chala. And it was doing internship that I actually developed the love for OBGYN. Because as an intern, when they take the patient off, she would say that Wapoe go and scrub in. And she will keep me in her OR while I'm waiting for her. She will send message and say, and I will say she data tell her let her start the surgery. So she pushed me also to be a better person. And then I had Dr. April Bala. She's not a Liberian, but she worked for the WHO. And during the EVD period, she really mentored me a whole lot. She taught me most of the different skills that I have now in public health emergency. And she has been there to just talk to me, guide me about different issues. Even currently, if I have issues, I reach out to her and then she's always there. And then I had another colleague that is 1 year ahead of me, Dr. Maya Pachibo. Is my most recent senior, but he also mentored me. We worked together at the JDJ hospital. He was there for me all along, telling me you can do this, guiding me along the way, and they all have helped me to be a better person.
Yeah, man. And as you were naming the names, initially I was like, but what are women in air? But what are women in air? And then I thought about saying, no, these are champions. These are our champions. Because a lot of times, we find ourselves in those spaces where there's not a lot of us there. We need the men to be
Yeah.
our champions. So, to those male champions who rally behind you, who push you, we hope some of the other men can be listening. Yeah, you listen, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be fighting somebody who's within your field. You're supposed to be helping them to grow. It's not competition. If it is a competition, it should be a friendly competition. Now, some of the things that we do see, whether it's in the medical field or in just about every sector, is those transformative policies. How do we, in your opinion, how do you think we can address the inequalities and eliminate gender-based discrimination as far as like the earnings? Because we know that women earn less than our male counterparts. How do we remove the barriers for access to the employment or even supporting to professional and developing leadership roles for women? How do we address those barriers?
Okay, so first of all, I would say that we as females we need to put ourselves in strategic positions. We need to try as much as possible to occupy these strategic positions so that we can have a say in the whole issue around gender transformation policies.
Amen.
So, because, yeah, if we sit in the background, the men will continue to write our story for us. They will coin policies that will be unique to themselves. But if we are in my position now as a female, I'm able to, say we need this for females, we need this. And if there's a scholarship, obviously the first person I'm looking for is female. No disrespect to men, but I'm not going to give a scholarship to a male when we have an equally qualified female. So if we find ourselves in these spaces, we'll be able to talk, we'll make informed decisions, we will help to change the shift about how these policies are written, and then the policies that will be rewritten will be more gender, it will be without gender biases, wherein it will be more female sensitive, and then we'll take into consideration our different needs, because sometimes when these policies are created, they tend to forget that even though we are fighting for that space, but we are still females and we have special needs. We need special things, and they tend to forget about all that. So that's the most important thing for me. So we need to be in a space to be able to change that. We cannot sit in the back and have them to do it, or else they're going to do the same old thing. So for me, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So in order to do it, you have to be in the space.
Yeah. And I can't say, enough about finding the room, standing in the room, finding a seat at the table, sitting at the table, understanding the topic, being involved in the policies, because if you're not around that table, nobody's going to be making any decision on your behalf. We say
exactly.
Get to the table. Women, we have common agenda. Most women, most of us as a whole.
Yeah.
Whether it is equal earnings, whether it is discrimination on the job, whether it is rape or sexual assault, there is a common agenda for most of us.
Yeah.
So if we're not sitting at that table, the decisions that can be passing around, nobody's thinking about how it affect you. Everybody looking out for them. So that table, that room is very important. And who's the lady that said, if you walk into the room and there's no seat, go grab a chair and bring your own doggone chair, squeeze it, put it there. Yeah. When you find your voice, use it constructively. But when you're speaking out, make sure you're speaking for women in general, and it's not just yourself. Now, we know, Liberia, when it comes to the health space, is a very difficult place. Back in 2016, the WHO said that there was a ratio of doctor to patient, 1 out of 1,000. So 1 out of 1,000 people, there's one doctor for every 1,000 patient for adequate healthcare services delivery in Liberia, which is very bad in a country of 4.5 million. That was in 2016. I don't think much has changed since then. So, when we're talking about unsung heroes, trust me, a young lady who could possibly get a job somewhere else, do well somewhere else, she's here. So there must be something challenging about not challenging, but rewarding about the experience. So can you tell us a little bit about some rewarding experiences since you became a doctor?
So for me, like I said, my whole drive to becoming a doctor was to help my parents, right? And to help to save people. So I will tell you about one particular experience that changed my life. I was a young doctor at JDJ Hospital, and I stood at the front of the delivery room one evening. While I was there, older midwife came in and she brought a patient, a pregnant woman that was actually coding. And I asked her, excuse me, ma, what kind of patient that? That was exactly as I put it. And then she said, I'm talking to you, I'm looking for the doctor. And she just flinged me aside. So I stood there and waited. Unfortunately for her, when she entered the delivery room, the patient literally coded and all her vital signs ceased. And all the midwives came outside to grab me. Doctor Wapoe, the patient, I ran in, I said, "Oh, calm down, send for the ultrasound, examine this patient." Interestingly, this was a primary, there was her first pregnancy, and she was having multiple pregnancy. Fortunately, when I did the ultrasound, the 2 babies were alive. So I ran with that woman in the OR, and we literally took all the babies without using any anesthesia, because we all thought that she was dead. Fortunately, after the last baby came out, she started to breathe again. So that experience changed my life. I would have said, oh, this woman disrespected me, as a doctor, so you'll handle it. But I put myself in it. And that's one of my passion about being a doctor. You have to empathize for your patient, put yourself in the shoes. So the first thing that will come to my mind, what if that was me lying there? If a male doctor had said that to someone else, was the doctor going to stay out, or was this person going to come in to help this patient? That experience helped me a whole lot. The patient relatives were overly grateful. Just the fact that you gain some level of gratitude from helping people you go to bed. I was walking on the moon for like 1 week. When I passed, that Dr. Wapoe there, she performed a miracle, and it changed my life a whole lot. And afterwards, we had a conversation. I told her, it's never good to overlook people when you see them. It's always good to treat people equally. And that has been my drive, even at that level. I try to make friends with everyone, regardless of where they come from. I even go as far as talking to the cleaners, talking to them. And sometimes we even eat together. I say, you're bringing food. I eat, oh, I'll take what I want. I say, I got TB or I got HIV, you're scared of me. And then they will all laugh. But the most important lesson I learned from there was that to not overlook anyone and don't be too proud even if someone come back and realize their mistake and say sorry, and then you act so proud, it could cost someone their life. And that someone could be a relative, it could be anyone. So that's just one of my experiences that I'm really proud of. I was not pompous. I was happy to help. And I'm always happy to help. Sometimes, even now, if I don't feel blood flashing on me, I feel bad. I want to go in the hospital to just get the feel of or smell fresh blood,
Dr.
just
Wapoe.
so I know I'm in my space. I'm not a vampire, but I just love to help people. And it was really a rewarding moment for me. And it changed my life a whole lot.
But some of us who scared of the blood gimmick, we can make it. We can make it. Of course, my personal experience with hospital is, my little sister. She has sickle cell, and she spent a lot of time of her life in the hospital. And
Okay.
I was always very scared to go. I didn't like to see the needles. I mean, I just didn't like it at all. And she, when I look at her, I'm like, man, you are a strong young woman, because just looking at needles, I get scared. Yeah.
I
So,
know.
but our time is coming to an end. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I know you got to get ready for your daily report.
I know.
Because every morning you guys give a report. So for those of you who honestly don't know what's going on, because I don't think we talk a lot about what's happening in Liberia and how our frontliners, I would say the health frontliners, are working so hard. It's every day. Dr. Wapoe is on this IMS call, doing the meeting, giving updates about the county. Any information you need is there. And that's how we heard about you. We didn't even, and when I'm talking about we, I'm talking about the group at the National Response Center, the
Dr.
staff.
Wapo, Dr.
Yeah, Dr.
Wapo.
Wapoe, Dr. Wapoe. Every day we will hear you like just talking, giving your report. And then, we just hear the name Dr. Wapoe, Dr. Wapoe. We even thought you were an older woman until you came to the response center and we saw you, were like, oh, wow. This is a young Liberian girl, but a Liberian woman, I would say. In Liberia, we can say Liberian kid, but a
That
young
great
Liberian.
girl.
So, but thank you so very much. Now, any last words for people who are listening and getting to know Dr. Wapoe?
Okay, so my last words will be this. First, let me say thank you for this space. Thank you for the opportunity to share my experience. So, other young Liberian women, I like to say that believe in yourself. Don't let anything put you down. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. Be you. Be the best version of you. So every day you go to sleep, pray to wake up so that you can be a better person and impact your generation. So that today or tomorrow, when you leave this space, someone will remember you and posterity will trust you. So when posterity trusting you, make sure that posterity trusts you real good. So that's my last word. And I'm glad that I'm a doctor. Maybe if I die and come back tomorrow, I will still be a doctor because I enjoy what I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we need you in this space. We really need you in this space. So thank you for all the work that you've done. Thank you for sticking it out again. We are Ebola now, Corona, but thank you so much for sticking it out. And we look forward to seeing you at the NRC soon.